Once again, here's Rob.
And our next guest on Hollywood Headliners must be an immensely happy gentleman today. He is the director of the critically acclaimed and box office giant World War Z. And joining us from Zurich, Switzerland, is director Marc Forster. Hi, Marc. How are you?
I'm really well. Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be on your show.
Well, first of all, congratulations are definitely in order this week. The film launched last weekend at higher than expected box office predictions, and it seems to be the talk of the business and critically acclaimed. And yet, Marc, just a couple of months ago, World War Z was experiencing, less than positive buzz. How has the film overcome a lot of that pre-launch negativity and become so successful?
I always believed in the film, and I was always truly passionate about it. And I think ultimately the film spoke for itself, and critics seem to really respond to it, and audiences seem to respond to it. And sometimes it's maybe not a bad thing if people have low expectations, and then suddenly they see the film and say, "Oh, this is so much better than what I expected."
Yes, it's really. It's very stunning. Here in the Los Angeles papers, they're doing. They're doing articles on people that had almost nothing to say, but had a couple of movement here and there, and they said, "Well, they're former dancers." And they'll do a whole feature article on them. So that when writers start digging into other folks on the cast, you've got a success on your hands. So you must be really pleased.
Oh no, I'm really thrilled and excited, and it's for a director. It's always amazing. People respond positively to your work, and they go, and people come out and go and see your movie. It's just, I'm really, really thrilled.
Well, and I want to remind everyone, too, who hasn't had a chance to Google you yet as we've started our conversation. Marc is the director of Monsters Ball. He did Finding Neverland. He did Stranger Than Fiction, The Kite Runner. He did the James Bond film Quantum of Solace, and now World War Z. And Marc, with zombie productions sort of rampant these days, how did you strive to make your zombies different?
I always saw the movie as not just a zombie movie. I saw it, as a global epidemic, end of the world disaster movie. And, I felt like when I read the book, Max Brooks' book, World War Z, where the movie's based on, that he captured the world he captured was so real and realistic, and I felt like this is really the key element for the movie as well. That the movie has to feel really real, because the more real it feels, the more on the edge an audience will be, and that was really important, because you almost felt like when you leave the theater, this could happen right outside those doors.
Oh, Godfrey, I hope not. I know when you did The Kite Runner, you were really true to that book. How true were you to World War Z, the book?
There was a little bit of the opposite in it with The Kite Runner. It was a much looser adaptation. I mean, Max Brooks is a terrific book, and has like 54 little short anecdotes of people's story of how they survived the war. And our film, I wanted to do a 3-act linear story with a central character in the center of it, which is a new investigator played by Brad Pitt, and sort of that was the vision I had for it, and the sort of the basic root of it. And ultimately, that's how we started developing the screenplay and the story.
Now, if for folks that have not seen the film yet, but have undoubtedly seen the trailers, because they're everywhere now on television, and you can sure pick it up on the internet, there's this massive number of people. I understand that you had to do scenes with up to 1,000 extras. My gosh, what size bullhorn did you have to use to control that crowd?
Yeah. No, there was, especially, for a director, when you keep shooting with, hundreds and thousands extras week in and week out, like you come just to a point where you just envision, can we just shoot a scene with two people having a cup of coffee?
How do you, how do you coordinate 1,000 people, and how many takes can you take before, everybody's exhausted and they can't get back to their beginning marks anymore?
I mean, the good thing is we're trying to create mass hysteria and mass mayhem. So in that sense, you don't want it to have you don't want it to be too coordinated. You want to have these sort of the accidental insanity happen in front of the camera, and how people would react in that kind of situation. And you want that to be real, and you don't want it to be too rehearsed, because once it gets too rehearsed, it doesn't feel right. But the great thing is we had some great extras, and they were all really into it and gave their best. But you can't do too many takes, because people get exhausted with the constant running and physical efforts. They need to go into that. But it's usually like 3-4 takes.
I don't even know how you fed all those people between takes. Marc, from the time you started the film, now that the film is done, what has been the biggest surprise about this whole film, just for you personally?
I'm really, ultimately, I'm just so excited that people embraced the movie and are finding it exciting, and a lot of people think it's the best movie of the summer, and they have it's this thrill ride. It's really a ride from beginning to end, which keeps you on the edge of your seat, and that's like, it's fun to watch an audience, and I just I'm really pleased with that. And a lot of the ideas we early on worked on, even how the zombies move and how these pyramids get built, and how it all came into play, because I was ultimately at the beginning very worried, with all the CG, if it would it come across that real the way I wanted it to be, and those guys really did an amazing job. So I'm really, really pleased with that as well.
Well, visually, it is beyond stunning, and it's a different kind of CG than I think people have ever seen before in a big film. Most movies right now have either robots knocking down New York, or Superman's knocking down New York, or monsters from under the ocean are knocking down New York. You have lots of people, no monsters, just people turning into monsters, and it is really, really stunning. Marc, now you had Brad Pitt as your star, and then he's also the producer of the film. Was having that literally Hollywood powerhouse in both roles a little intimidating at any point?
He's so respectful, and it was a great collaboration. On one hand, when he's working on set, he's very focused on the role, and once the camera stops rolling, he puts his other cap on, and he's the producer. And ultimately, having him being the producer and star, the great thing about it is that he, always wants to make sure that the movie is the best it can be.
Yeah, well, I'd say all of you involved in this thing should be out drinking a lot of schnapps tonight, because you've really pulled it off. Where Superman, Man of Steel was perhaps the odds-on favorite to be the box office winner this year, it may turn out to be you guys with World War Z. And Marc, I have to say thank you so much. It's very, very late at night in Zurich, Switzerland. We appreciate you being on with us here on Hollywood Headliners. Folks, if you are looking for a film to go out and have the pants scared off of you, but really see a really cool-looking film, it is World War Z. It opened last weekend, and it's blowing the socks off of everybody. And we have to thank its director, Marc Forster, for being with us on Hollywood Headliners. Marc, thanks so much, and continued success.
Thank you so much, Rob, and thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. We'll be right back with more in just a second.